Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more buckshot testing. And today, we've definitely got a very interesting combo out here to test, and considering that we really haven't done anything with this particular gauge and shell type and shotgun and stuff like that. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what kind of results we can get from it. But as for the shell I've got here today, I brought out some of these, the Federal Power-Shok shells, but these ones are a 20 gauge, 2 3/4 inch, 20 pellet load of 3 buck, moving about 1200 feet per second. Now we haven't done any tests with 3 buck, we haven't done any 20 gauge buckshot testing in general, and I know several of you guys have requested to see it, and now that I finally have the capability to do it in a pretty realistic testing fashion, this is where we're going to start. So what can these Power-Shok 20 pellet 3 bucks do? I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how they can perform. And as for the setup we've got to run them through, I brought out this guy. This is a Stevens 301. Technically it's the turkey model, but all that really means is it's camouflage and came with a stock turkey choke. But as for a choke, I recently picked up a full set of standard chokes for this, and I asked you guys in a community post a little while back, if you shoot 20 gauge buckshot, what choke do you like to use and where should we start? And overwhelmingly, the majority of you guys said modified choke. So that's what we have here today. I've got a factory style flush mount modified choke in the gun, and I will measure this after the fact, and I will put the actual constriction of it up on the screen here for you guys to see. But at least based on what you guys have said, this should be a decent starting point to work off of. So we'll see what those Federals can do through the 301 with a modified choke. But as for today's test, everything is the same as usual. I've got the big sheet of paper at 40 yards, and I've got the chronograph so we can get our velocity out of the shell, as well as some templates that we lay up over our target for a reference as to how they might do in a hunting scenario or something like that. But enough talking, let's head over here and get you guys a view of this target and take this shot and just see what kind of results we can get with some 20 gauge Federal 3 buck through the 301 with a modified choke here today. I don't know what we're going to see right off the bat because I am not super experienced when it comes to 20 gauge buckshot in particular. So let's head over here and take the shot and see what it gives us. Okay, so that shell gave us 1131 through the chrono. The boss claim is 1200, so that's what, 69 feet per second under their claim. So chances are they may very well have tested it through a little bit longer barrel, but I'd say all things considered, we are still within the realm of reason for these shells. But what kind of a pattern did they actually give us down there at 40 yards? Let's go check it out and see what we got. Alright, well now we're down here at our 40 yard paper, and this is what we got. And for a reference, the white dot was my point of aim. The paper is 36 inches wide by probably about 40 to 42 inches tall. And as you can see, we have shot covering the vast majority of the paper. And in total, out of a 20 pellet shell, we have 15 of them actually on the big sheet of paper here. So that means we're missing 5. And as for the pattern here, it is not great to say the least. This is the equivalent of like a waterfowl shell in a buckshot performance, if that makes any sense. A pretty large broad spread all over the paper, no real core area, definitely not a super tight or condensed pattern, and really, to be honest with you, not one that I would want to hunt with, at least through this specific choke. Now I will put this out there. This is a modified choke. Typically when it comes to buckshot, I start with a full choke, but a lot of you guys said you've seen good performance through a modified choke, and looking at this pattern, it is a nice even spread, which tells me we can probably go down in constriction a little bit, get a little bit tighter of a choke, and we might get a little bit better of a pattern. So maybe a full choke in that 301 might be the ticket here, or maybe these shells just are not all that great. Either way here, a very broad pattern all over the paper, but I guess for the sake of it, let's throw a couple templates up and just see what it would have looked like if you would have taken this shot in the field and not tested your setup before you took it out there. Okay, here's the 10-inch circle, and since the pattern looks pretty much centered up on the paper, I centered it up with our point of aim, and we had 2 pellets in there. Definitely not great considering it's a 20 pellet shell, but I guess 2 pellets of 3 buck going through a vital sized area on an animal would not feel very good, so it would probably be good enough, but definitely I would like to see 6, 7, 8 of them in there at least, and we just don't have that because there really isn't a defined core here with this pattern. So I guess the 10-inch circle kind of is what it is, but let's throw the deer template up here and see what it would have looked like in that scenario. Okay, here's that deer template, and when we line it up with our point of aim, we would have had 6 of them that actually hit the deer for sure. So would you have gotten this deer? Yeah, probably so. I mean, you've got those 2 right in the white dot there that would have definitely gotten lungs, as well as another one way back there in the gut area, and the one up in the top might have just clipped spine. So I think you would have gotten this deer, but as you can see, definitely not the ideal hunting pattern. You don't have a nice hot core area, so you're not really maximizing your pellet count and your energy downrange. Maybe for somebody doing a deer drive or something that wants a little bit larger of a spread, that might be something they're looking for, but that's not really the case in my scenarios. I would much rather have a nice hot central core area, the pattern and stuff to work with, and this is not that. Good enough to take a deer? Probably so. Would I trust it at 40 yards? No, not personally. So I hope we can tighten that up with a little bit tighter of a choke, but we'll just have to wait and see. So I guess let's throw the hog template up for a few seconds just to take a peek at that. I think it's going to be pretty well the same story, but we'll put it up there anyway because I brought it out. Alright, here's that hog template, and it's pretty well the same story. You might have had a couple of them through the vitals right there, and a couple more just sporadically scattered across the rest of him. Would it have gotten the job done? Probably so, but definitely not what I'm looking for. So maybe a little bit disappointing of a start here, but I have a feeling that if we go to a little bit tighter choke, we might be able to get these to perform a little bit better, especially considering they don't have a wad to help them out whatsoever. They are just a buffered load of buckshot. So we'll continue to test them through some other chokes and see what they give us, but who knows, this could be the best that they have to offer. Alright, well y'all, what do you think about those results right there? Definitely a little disappointing of a start. I was hoping to see a little bit better, considering a lot of you guys seem to use modified chokes in your 20 gauge for buckshot. But that's why we come out here and test things, because we just don't know how they're going to perform until we actually try it. So we're off to a little bit of a disappointing start, but I think we can get a little bit better out of these shells with the right choke, a little bit tighter constriction, maybe a full or an extra full or something might help them out. But we'll just have to try it and see what we get out of them. But as always, leave your thoughts in the comments. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these Federal 20 pellet 3-buck 20 gauge shells? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? Is there another choke combo that you might want to see them fired through? And if you use 20 gauge buckshot, what choke and shell combo do you use? As I kind of mentioned earlier, I am far from an expert when it comes to 20 gauge buckshot. I've just never really messed with it before. So if there's something you guys think that I should try, then by all means, let me know all that stuff down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we got the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested in it. But I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.